Carson's Dive Shop, and today I'm going to teach you how to install long blade fins into some Riffe Veloc foot pockets. To start, we are going to need a couple of tools. So we're going to need a 5/32 drill bit, a Phillips drill bit, and a flathead screwdriver, along with a power drill. In addition to those tools, the blades and the foot pockets, we will need the foot pocket assembly kits. Luckily, Riffe supplies them with the foot pockets, but check out for other manufacturers whether or not they come with assembly kits or not. So to get started, we're going to take the blade and the foot pocket and assemble them. We're going to pull back one of the tendons to slide in the blade. While you're sliding the blade, you want to make sure that you don't cut the tendons. Slide it in. Once you get one side secure, switch to the other side. You might have to loosen the rubber so it slides in nice and neat. And remember not to cut those tendons. So I'm going to work my way back to each side, making sure that the blade is seated into the foot pocket. I sometimes like to look down and make sure I have a nice straight blade. Now that we have the blade into the foot pocket, the next thing is going to be putting the tendons on. Here's a little trick that I like. You just bend and you work the tendon out to the blade. When you get to the rails, you're going to have to wiggle. And once you get that base, the rest starts to count. Just slowly work your way up. In this last portion, it becomes a lot easier. Once you have one side complete, go ahead and work on the other. Starting the base, making sure not to be afraid to bend that tendon back. You want to make sure you open up that tendon so it can accept this rail on the side of the blade. If it looks like I'm struggling, it is kind of hard, but once you have them in there, they are nice and secure. There we go. One final check of the blade. Pulling down, pulling the tendons all the way up, making sure that it's fully seated. We can also check the rails, make sure that we don't have any tendons that are crimped under. This one looks good. So now that the blades are seated to the foot pocket, we're going to remove the manufacturer's hangers. So these are unnecessary. You guys can go ahead and toss these. And then we're going to have to drill through the two assembly kit holes. In order to do that, we're going to go ahead and use the 5/32 drill bit. Now, if you did this in the dive shop, they most likely have a stencil like we do, but since we're doing this at home, I'm going to go ahead and show you guys how to freehand drill. There's two holes on your foot pockets, or at least on the Riffe Veloc foot pockets, and we're just going to try to center that hole right in the middle. Now keep in mind, these are at an angle, so when we position the drill, we're going to do it at an angle. If you are not comfortable with using a drill, check out your local dive shop, ask guys to do it for you, or start with a slightly smaller bit, so if you miss the center, you can always open it up a little bit more. So to start, we're going to position the drill right in the center there. The important key factors is to press on the top of the foot pocket. If you're not pressing, the drill will end up cutting into it. So I'm going to go and demonstrate right here. Remember to do that angle. So now we have both our holes made. We're going to open up one of our assembly kits. Try to keep all the pieces on the table. Go ahead and switch out our drill bit for our Phillips screwdrivers, Phillips bit. Now this assembly kit comes with a top plate, a bottom plate, 2 tendon clips, and then 2 screws for those plates. We're going to start with the plate. So go ahead and put the top plate in, right where we drilled. And then we're going to go ahead and put this plate on the bottom, line it up with the holes. And as you'll notice, I'll go ahead and put my finger on that bottom plate to keep it from falling out. And then I usually like to get this started by hand, just pushing them in, get them seated. And I use my drill, or you can use a normal screwdriver, Phillips head screwdriver. It's the main point in when you start drilling or start screwing, and I can't emphasize this enough, you want to make sure you put that finger on that top plate, because if you don't, it'll be up by your toes, be uncomfortable, and your blade won't be fully secure. So once you have your screws in, you can see the top plate is nice and smooth at the top. And then we just have the last 2 steps. This may seem like the easiest, but this can be the most challenging for some people, especially if you haven't done this before. So there is going to be a right and a left. It has a little L on this one, a little R on this one. So this is going to be a right, this is going to be a left. The way that we decide what side it goes on is if we're looking at the blade. So let's just double check, left and right. We'll go ahead and start with the left one. This little L will show that it's going to be on the bottom of the blade. So you might notice I flipped over the blade because I want to wrap this clip over the tendon. And as you can see, these, if you have them in your hand, you'll see that these clips are ergonomically designed to fit the clip a certain way. So make sure you don't overlook this step. So we're going to start by placing this clip right on the top of the tendon, or the bottom right now, but the top of the normal foot pocket tendon. Then we're going to use this little flathead screwdriver as leverage, and we're just going to finesse it over. You can see, and you just want to push the clip. Once you get over the half of the tendon, you can just push that screwdriver over a little bit more. There we go. So as you see, guys, it does take a couple tries to make it right. If you have a little bit of excess, you can use that flathead to push down on the rubber and just push it underneath the clip. When you're doing this, you want to make sure you're not puncturing that rubber, you guys. Use a flatter, duller flathead if you do have it. You can also use a butter knife as well, depending on what you're working with. As you can see, one clip is fully seated. The right side is known to be a little harder. Not sure exactly why, but we're going to go ahead and do the same exact thing. We're going to line up the inside of that clip, the top of the tendon, and I'm going to use that screwdriver to push in there to give me leverage over the middle of the blade. Not the normal tools I use when I'm at the shop, but I'm trying to make it as realistic for you guys at home as possible, showing you it can be done with just any screwdriver. As you can see, just pull out that screwdriver now. As I said before, you can go ahead and use that end of the flathead to push in the excess rubber and lighten that down. Just being careful not to puncture that thin rubber on your foot pocket tendon. Making sure those are nice and secure, we're going back and forth. As you guys can see, this is now a completed long blade fin. You can go out and take this in the waters today. Well, that wraps it up for today's video. Thank you so much for checking us out today. If you have any questions, please leave them in the comments down below. Like this video, please subscribe to our channel, and make sure to click on that bell notification so you get notified on our future videos. Thank you again.